Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. I have the opportunity to do a lot of career coaching these days, and a lot of the conversations are around networking. It's who do you know and who does that person know? And in those conversations, what I found is that the most valuable conversations to have are the third-party connections. It's not necessarily, I know someone at this place. If I'm trying to grow my career or change jobs or even build a business, it's not necessarily me. It's not one-to-one. It's often there's somebody in the middle. That third-party connection of, could you make this connection to here for me, is the strongest one you can possibly make. And I found that in fundraising as well, that when you are connected to somebody who knows somebody, people want to give, people want to participate, but they want to be asked on behalf of somebody else. In his book Do Over, Jon Acuff talks about this. He talks about our this equation of starting over or building a new career, starting a career, is thinking through all these different networking opportunities that we might have. And suggest that sometimes having that person who stands in the middle and bridges that connection, because it doesn't cost them much, and yet it can be the thing that makes the best connection that you can possibly have. And John DeVries in his book Why Pray argues that that's exactly how it works in prayer, is that we get to be the middleman when it comes to interceding between somebody else and God. He says that basically praying for others is like networking with God. Jesus even says in Luke 11, 5 through 13, the Bible says that Jesus is teaching people how to pray, and he tells this story. He tells a story about a friend who he opens his door at night to a hungry friend. And in that process, he realizes he has nothing to give this hungry friend, so he goes to a wealthy neighbor. And when he goes to that wealthy neighbor in the middle of the night, he knocks, and that wealthy neighbor says, "No, it's too late." But because he's already up and it's the middle of the night, the friend keeps knocking. And Jesus wraps up the story and he says, if you keep knocking, you will get what you want. You will be given what you want because of your shameless persistence. It's almost like Jesus says, you know what? The best form of prayer is this prayer on behalf of somebody else. That this should be a regular part of our prayer life. Is not just the what do I want, what do I need, and what can God do for me. But instead, how can I be that person that stands in the middle and makes a connection between a need here and God, and helping God identify that there's a need here, and I want to be the person in the middle. And the other thing that happens here that John talks about in his book, Why Pray, is that not only then do we knock on God's door and pound on that door for him, we're also made much more aware of all the things that are going on in our lives around us, that we also get to participate in helping make connections in our cities, in our communities, and with our people. See, God often does work through us. He doesn't necessarily have to answer a prayer with, again, a one-to-one exchange. God participates in our faith journeys with us and through other people. And so we get to be the middleman in two different ways. One is to pray on behalf of other people and network with God in that way. But also in doing so, we might be made aware of other situations where people could benefit, places that people need to know about each other. And using this principle of shameless persistence can grow our communities, can grow our faith, and continue to benefit more than just us. This week, as you engage your faith, as you engage God in your prayer life, and you have more of these "Hey God" conversations, see what happens when you engage God on behalf of other people. Who in your life needs to be prayed for? What organizations need your support? And who can you make good connections with in your community, in your family, in your faith journey? This week, try praying for someone else. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow us each week, click here to subscribe. And if you want to take it a little bit further, click here for discussion materials.